Hello, boys. Testing, testing. One, two, three. This is gonna be my very first video. Well, technically, it's gonna be my very first video where I ever break down a beat that I'm making. Forgive me for this extended intro. This is genuinely, like, literally the first time I'm ever doing this. You can see from my screen right now, like, it's just hella me's and hella screens. But I'm looking down here. It looks like you can hear me loud and clear. Hey, that rhymed. So without further ado, I don't mean to waste your time. Let's get right into it. So you should still be able to see me. I actually can't see myself right now, but you guys can. Let's go to this file right here. I've been really into making like jazzy, like funky type beats. And a big element of those beats is the bass. It's something that I've realized, and it's to the point where I've like gotten real like I almost feel like the electric bass is my calling. Like I genuinely love just the way it sounds and everything. And it's crazy because as you can see, I have Trillion right here, and I was genuinely thinking about deleting this at one point because in my head I'm like, dude, this thing is pretty big. It's like some 10 or like 15 gigabytes. And when I first got it, I didn't use it for months. It wasn't until one day where I just said, you know what, F it. And like I found this preset, specifically hardcore finger. And like obviously I'm not playing like in key, but it just sounds awesome. Like even that. Now obviously we're doing like a funky, like a chill laid back type beat, but like, you know what I mean? Like it just has a ton of character to it. But without further ado, let me show you guys the simple bass line I laid. Matter of fact, let me make it easier for you guys. I'm actually at the metronome. So I remember a very long time ago. Let me just do this real quick just to make sure that you guys can still see me. Very a long time ago, I remember from my music teacher, he was actually my guitar teacher in my junior year of high school. He said that like a key element of music is silence. And that's what really help I feel like that's what really helps this bass stand out. Like as you can see, there's not a note playing every single second. Like it's not, you know what I mean? Like there's spaces in between. It's like I can't play the exact keys because I don't have my MIDI keyboard with me, but you see what I mean? Like it's not like, and I'm not saying that that can't work. That can definitely work at some instances, but for me, when it comes to like funky, like just getting the shit is like, like now, you got to leave gaps. You know what I mean? You don't have to have something playing every single second of the beat. And aside from the bass, moving on, let's actually talk about the drums. This is another thing too. For the longest time, for whatever reason, I don't know why, when I was making beats, because I've been making beats for a very, very, very long time, mostly out of passion. Like I've only posted a couple up until recently. I've only posted like a couple of my beats on YouTube and whatnot. For whatever reason, I always was a guy who would start off with the melody. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. Okay, I have to make sure my mic was still on because I actually muted it when I started playing the bass. But when I was first starting out, I always start off with the melody, and it's not that that's a bad thing. It's just that as of lately, all my beats have started off with the drums. It's just a way to. I remember I saw this. It's actually I actually learned this from a video by Metro Boomin. It's literally titled "Start with your drums first." Sometimes, because like I said, it always depends on what type of vibe you're going for, how you're feeling. It's like he had a perfect analogy for it. It's like piecing together outfits. Like some days, you might put together an outfit based on something as simple as a watch, or it might be centered around your pants, or it might be centered around your shirt. It depends. But starting with the drums is a way to lock in a bounce, lock in a rhythm, you know? And especially with these funky type of beats. It's funny because funky, because like when I say funky, I mean, like rhythm. But that's also a word that people use when like something smells weird. But y'all know what I mean. Funky, like jazz, like dancey. With these beats, I every time that I've started with like the melody, it just doesn't work. And from my personal experience, I'm not saying that it's impossible, but for me, I always have to start off with the drums. So enough yapping. Let's get to the drums, and let me start off with the countdown. Add that bass. You see, you know what I'm saying? I'm like that when it comes to the drums, bro. But let's just break down the pattern real quick. As you guys can see, I haven't even gone like too crazy with this. Like this is just a loop right here. I haven't like constructed like an arrangement yet. But this is the kick right here. Now I don't know about you guys, but the kick is probably like my favorite part of the drums. Like genuinely my favorite. I just love it because even though it's called a kick, it feels a lot like a punch to me. Like a boom, like you know what I mean? Like and I just love that. I can't really explain to you why I just do. Like even in soft beats. Like you know what I mean? Like even in beats where it's supposed to be calm and relaxing, I still love that. That wasn't completely on beat, but you get the point. So let me just isolate this real quick for you guys. Because I haven't even you know what? I should do that right now. That way I don't have to split by channel. There you go. Now I don't have to do that. Okay, and then we just put this all right here. Just bear with me for 1 second, guys. All right. As you can see, it's a fairly simple pattern. One thing that I like doing is I like putting the kicks. Bear with me because I'm gonna do my best to put this into words. I like putting the kicks like real close to the snare, but never on the snare. Like I don't like having like the kick and the snare at the same exact time. There's certain beats or there's certain types of genres where it makes sense. House, like it's like boom, 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 and like the kick can play like every 4 beats. But when it comes to these type of beats, I like keeping them very separate. But I do like pushing it. Like let me show you guys real quick what I mean. Because the snare is very simple, guys. I already showed you guys the kick pattern. The snare is very simple. It's just I don't know if that's every fourth or every eighth. You know what I mean? It's like all right, I don't know the exact terminology, guys. I'm not Beethoven, but it's my point. But do you guys like you see what I mean? Like, do you see how close because the snare is right here. All right. This is the kick pattern, but let me show you guys where the snare is. All right. Let's pretend that this is the snare. The snare is right here. All right. And then this is the kick. Look how close it gets to the kick. I mean, not to the kick, to the snare. Like I don't know exactly what that's called, but it's a way that I like doing like programming the kick. That way it just has a little bit more bounce as opposed to just being like, you know what I mean? Like as opposed to just being like that. Or it's just it's like a safe pattern. It's like I like you know what I mean? Now let's move on to the hi-hats. if you notice, it sounds like it has an echo. Like it looks like there's only one note playing, but it sounds like there's almost multiple. And one thing that I absolutely love incorporating into my beats, especially with hi-hats or with percussions, is this right here, echo delay. As you can see, I have the delay time on 2, and I put the feedback. It really depends, but you just play with it, and you'll get like different. Like let me show you guys what happens when I put it on 3 seconds. Because that's usually how it starts off. Like usually when you put any sound, well, let's just go with this one for example. You know, it's just the sound in and of itself. When you go here, right, go to the tools. As you can see, it's always on 3 seconds, and then you just turn this up. Now listen, it has an echo to it. So I always like adding that to my hi-hats, just give it more rhythm, more space. You know, that way it's not. Because let me show you guys the difference. Let me compare it. If I turn this, let me just copy this because I might forget it. If I turn this all the way down. You know, there's still rhythm, like it's still groovy, but having that echo just makes it like a lot more spacious, and it just gives it a lot more like substance. All the drums in together. That bass. Now let's cover the chords in and of themselves. Now for this one, I I really like using electric pianos. And as you guys can see, I have Keyscape loaded up right here. And I know, guys, I know that Keyscape and Trillion, well, in case you guys don't know, they're very pricey plugins, but they're absolutely worth it. And that's one thing, if you really want to take this serious, like if you're really serious about music production, you have to be willing to invest. You have to be willing to invest into these high quality sounds because it's got a hefty price tag, but it's for a reason. All right, it's definitely, if I say it's worth the hype. It's very valuable. It's very valuable, all right, because a big part of making good music is having good sounds. Like, it's very hard to make good music when the sounds that you're working with are dog shit. Like I'll give you guys an example, right? You guys want a good electric guitar? Let me show you guys what not to use. FL Slayer, in case you guys don't know. Listen to this. Now, I'm not saying that this is a completely, what's the word? Obscure plugin. I don't know if that's the right word. Where it's like it has no use. I'm sure that in some beats, someone can find a way to use this to its advantage, but like this is not a good sound, guys. This does not sound good. You have to be willing to invest. And the reason why I bring up this guitar is because I actually have an electric guitar programmed into this beat. Listen to the difference. Listen to the difference. Compare that to this. And obviously, this one is called Slayer, so it's like meant to be more like a rock kind of guitar, but it's nonetheless like, dude, this sounds like fucking dog shit, bro. Like even if I'm in the gym, I don't want to hear. You know what? That actually didn't sound that bad. That actually did. Forgive me, guys. I don't have the best rhythm. I don't have the best coordination when it comes to playing like on my laptop keys. But let's just get this plugin the fuck out of here, all right? So my point is, you have to be willing to invest into good quality sounds. And Keyscape, when you first load up Keyscape, it always like I guess it's just a default page. It just starts off with like these. It's a lot of grand pianos. It was to the point where I didn't even know that they had electric pianos. Like I thought it was just straight grand pianos. It wasn't until I specifically looked up electric, and they have some beautiful Rhodes pianos in here. Some absolutely oops. Absolutely beautiful electric pianos. Just absolutely beautiful sound. So let me play this. Let me play the chords for you guys real quick. And let me fuck are the chords. Oh, on the wrong pattern. It's very simple for the most part. Like, look, like I'm gonna tell you guys one thing right now. I am lazy. I am lazy. That doesn't mean that I won't put effort into making my music, but like, dude, you guys can see this right here. What I literally did was played this chord, which I'll play for you guys right now. This, the way I came up about like these parts right here, I literally just copied the chord and then I just adjusted. Now, I'm not a music theory expert. I just literally I went like this, and oftentimes it's not I don't even think I played this on my actual laptop. What I did was I played like I think I played something like this, or I drew some. Let me do something real quick. Let me remove this that way it doesn't sound bad. I think I played like this, and then what I do is I just transpose the note. I just shifted it down to it was down here. A key part to making these melodies, in my opinion, or not even in my opinion, from my experience, you have to be able to hum it. Like ding, 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 ding. New, 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 new. New, 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 new. Like, you don't have to go crazy because that's another thing too, where you just think of like coming up with like this insane fucking out of this world melody where to the point where you're thinking about playing chords or you're thinking about playing keys like every few seconds or every single second that the metronome is playing. Again, silence. Just that pause is a great it is a very important part of music. If you listen to music and everything is just playing at once, like everything is just in your face, it doesn't sound good, right? Things need to be able to breathe. The piano needs to be able to breathe. The drums need to be able to breathe. It's almost like everything is like it's alive in a sense. Everything, the piano's alive, the drums are alive. They all have a heartbeat. And if your heart is beating every single second, there's a problem. All right. You're not going to be able to enjoy life. You're not going to be able to enjoy your experience here on earth if your heart is, you know what I mean? Like it's about to blow out your chest. So, very simple. Now, let me just break this down for you guys real quick. The transition. As a matter of fact, I'll do this to really highlight it. Again, I'm not a music theory expert. My method of going about this is like going about making like these chord changes or even these key changes, if that's what it's called. Because like I said, I don't know. I just make shit that sounds good. Not sure, but this actually sounds pretty bad. Oh, let me put these two chords right next to each other. Literally. Yes, you see, I just transposed the note. Literally just moved the note down twice. So yeah, one, two. So that's simple. Now, you don't have to be like anal about it. You just use your ears, bro. Like, let me show you guys an example. Like, you'll know when something is out of key. Like, listen, that's not necessarily a bad chord. It just does not transition with this one in a good way. Like it just sounds off. It sounds out of place. Let me Alt Z this thing back in. It's back in order. There we go. I'll chord there. I don't. Maybe it's because I don't have my headphones in, but I don't like the way these things. I don't like the way these things down here sound. Honestly, it's better. I had those bass notes. I always whenever I use like a grand piano, like a regular piano, I like having those at the bottom. It just fills out the melody nicely. I'm not gonna lie, I do not like the way it sounds here at all. I'm gonna be completely honest with you guys. Yeah, I'm not an expert. I think I originally had them in this octave. I guess somehow I just ended up moving them down there by accident. But but yeah, a big back to what I was saying before, a big part of this is just simply like just testing, you know? See, like even that sounds good. But it doesn't like just because it sounds good doesn't mean it's the right chord. You always want to test, you always want to move things around and capture that vibe perfectly. I put it in the wrong spot, guys. Forgive me. There we go. And I know when I first, because like I said, I'm not super familiar with music theory. So when I first started making beats, I would like always make sure that things were all flat. Like if there was a sharp in between two flat chords or two flat notes, I always thought like, oh, like that's not right. I want everything to be perfect. And it's just simply not the case. It's just not from my experience. And again, I'm no musician, but I've made tons. I've made thousands of beats, dude. Like I've been doing this ever since I was 17 years old, and I've come to find out that like it really there's rules in music, but that doesn't mean that you always have to follow them. Now, if you're just starting out, then obviously, don't start breaking rules that you don't even know exist. But over time, you learn that like certain things that might look like they're out of place, might look like they're not where they're supposed to be. It fits perfectly fine. It's to the point where I don't even know what fucking key to call this. I want to say A. I want to say A minor. I don't know. Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. I'm gonna look back at that and I'm gonna cringe. But my key takeaway from this melody right here is make sure it's catchy. Make sure it's catchy and you can hum it. And and yeah, that's really it. It's really all for the melody. Now the last part, at least for the piano, I should say, because I actually did include a guitar. Like what guitar this is? It is Sessions Guitars Electric Mint. Very, very nice guitar. Very nice guitar bank, as you guys can hear, because I'm an excellent guitar player. But it's like it's similar to the bass. Obviously, the only difference is that you're not playing it at such low octaves or in such a low key range. Space is a big thing. Like as you can see, like that's a space that like the note is playing, but there's not anything crazy going on. It's just ding, 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 ding. Again, you want it to be hummable. And oh, another thing. This I try to avoid this as much as possible, like where these notes like are overlapping, because on a regular guitar, that's kind of impossible to do. At least from the way I'm thinking about it right now. Like you can't, when you move, when you play one note and then you play another note, like there's not a fucking sustain pedal. So you want to make sure that for the most part, not always, like I think when you're like strumming chords, it's different. But, like when you're playing like notes that are like this far apart, you want to make sure that nothing is bleeding in. That way it sounds more realistic. It sounds more authentic. Because you're already fighting uphill battle even when you use these great presets because you're playing it as if it's a piano. You know what I mean? Because what is this thing in right now? It's in a piano roll. But key takeaways: make sure the notes aren't bleeding into each other, and just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate it. That was a big thing that I struggled with when I first started making beats. Just keep it simple, dude. At the end of the day, you got to remember that music is meant to be listened to, not meant to be overanalyzed, not meant to like, oh wow, like this complex MIDI pattern. Like I got to make this crazy pattern where there's like these arpeggios and there's this and there's that. Remember, it's meant to be listened to. All right. You got to like exit that producer mindset and like think like, of how complicated this beat is and just enter the mindset of, oh, this is like as if you're a listener. Really that simple. I wonder what people are thinking about me right now. Because I've had this hat on the whole time and I've been yapping. But let me play this for you guys one last time because I don't even think I played it in its entirety the first time. I've showed you guys everything. Let's play the beat in its entirety because I don't even remember if I did that the first time. That's all I got for you guys. This was this is a very special video to me. I know this might not be the greatest video I'll ever make. Well, it definitely won't be because it's my first time ever making one covering this music stuff. But I'm very proud of myself for doing this because this is something that I genuinely love and I've been procrastinating for the longest when it comes to making these videos. But today's the day that I finally said fuck it and I made this. So if you tuned into the end, thank you so much. I genuinely appreciate it. Whether or not you like the video, you could even drop a dislike. Just the fact that you made it here, I greatly appreciate you. And stay tuned, guys, because this will only be one of many. All right. That's all I got, man. Y'all be easy. Let me just get this thing going. And where the